Imagine a famous ship, preserved in a harbor as a monument. Over centuries, as planks rot and sails tear, each damaged part is replaced. Eventually, every single piece of the original ship has been swapped out. Is it still the same ship? Now imagine someone collected all the original parts as they were removed and rebuilt the ship using only those. Which one is the real Ship of Theseus? This ancient puzzle is not just about ships. It strikes at the heart of identity itself. And it has never been solved. The Ship of Theseus appears in Plutarch's writings from around 100 AD. Theseus, legendary founder of Athens, was said to have returned from Crete on a ship that Athenians preserved by replacing rotting planks. One by one, philosophers wondered, is the preserved ship the same one Theseus sailed? The puzzle has a twin in Thomas Hobbes. Who made it sharper? If you gradually replace every part of something, is it still the same thing? And if you reassemble the original parts elsewhere, which version has the better claim to identity? The puzzle generalizes to everything that changes over time. Rivers, mountains, corporations, and, most urgently, persons. To sharpen the puzzle, we need a philosophical tool. Leibniz's law, also called the indiscernibility of identicals. It states, if X and Y are identical, truly the same thing, then they must share all the same properties. This seems obvious. If the morning star and the evening star are both Venus, then everything true of one must be true of the other. The problem for the Ship of Theseus. The fully replaced ship and the reassembled ship have different properties. The replaced ship has been on display continuously. The reassembled ship was in storage. They are in different places. They have different histories. By Leibniz's law, they cannot both be identical to the original. And arguably, neither one is. How does this apply to persons? John Locke offered the most influential early answer. Locke argued that personal identity is constituted by psychological continuity. Specifically, by memory. You are the same person as the child in your memories because you remember being that child. Consciousness, not the body, is what makes you you. This has intuitive appeal. If you woke up tomorrow with a completely different body but all your memories intact, you'd still feel like you. The body seems incidental. What matters is the continuous stream of conscious experience and memory connecting your past self to your present self. But Locke's memory theory faces devastating objections. Thomas Reid raised the brave officer paradox. Suppose a young boy is flogged for stealing. Later, as a young officer, he is decorated for bravery and remembers being flogged. Later still, as an old general, he remembers winning the medal but has forgotten the flogging entirely. By Locke's theory, the officer is the same person as the boy, and the general is the same person as the officer. But the general has no memory connecting him to the boy. So by the same theory, the general is not the same person as the boy. Identity becomes non-transitive, which is logically impossible. Memory is also notoriously unreliable. We confabulate, misremember, and forget. If identity depends on memory, it becomes dangerously fragile and subjective. An alternative view grounds personal identity in physical continuity. You are the same person across time because your body, particularly your brain, persists continuously. When you sleep, your memories are inaccessible, but you do not cease to exist when you develop amnesia. You do not become a different person. The body, on this view, is the anchor of identity. But bodily continuity has its own problems. Your body replaces almost all its atoms over years. The neurons in your brain, while mostly stable, change their connections constantly. If the Ship of Theseus paradox applies to ships, why not to bodies? A strict bodily continuity view seems to prove too much, or too little. Parfit, in his 1984 masterwork Reasons and Persons, Constructed thought experiments that push the question to its limits. Consider brain fission. Surgeons remove your brain and place each hemisphere into a different body. Both resulting persons wake up with your memories and personality. Which one is you? Both seem equally valid continuations. But they cannot both be you, since they are different people. Or consider teletransportation. Your body is scanned and destroyed, then perfectly recreated from new matter on Mars. Did you travel to Mars? Or did you die and a copy of you was made? Or a gradual version, over months? Each cell in your body is replaced by a functionally identical artificial component. At what point, if any, do you stop being you? Parfit argued that these cases reveal something profound. In each scenario, the facts are fully described. What remains uncertain is not an empirical question, but whether to apply the word same person, identity, Parfit suggested, might not be what matters. Parfit's most provocative claim is that personal identity is not what matters in survival. What matters is psychological continuity and connectedness. The overlapping chains of memories, intentions, beliefs, and desires linking one moment to the next. Whether we call this the same person is a verbal question, not a deep metaphysical one. And if identity is not what matters, then many of our intuitions about rational self-interest and moral responsibility need revision. Why should you care specially about your future self? Perhaps for the same reason you care about people you are psychologically connected to. Why hold someone responsible for a past act? Only insofar as there is sufficient psychological continuity linking them to that past self. These are not comfortable conclusions, but Parfit believed they were liberating. Once you stop thinking of identity as all or nothing, a certain kind of self-concern dissolves. One influential metaphysical response is four-dimensionalism, or the perdurance theory. On this view, objects are not three-dimensional things that persist through time. They are four-dimensional entities extended in time as well as space. You are not a thing that exists wholly at each moment. You are a spacetime worm, a four-dimensional entity with temporal parts. The you of yesterday and the you of today are different temporal parts of the same extended whole. On this view, the Ship of Theseus puzzle dissolves. The question of which ship is the real one is like asking which slice of a loaf is the real bread. Different temporal segments can have different properties without threatening identity. Because identity is defined over the whole four-dimensional entity, not any single moment, the Ship of Theseus is not merely a puzzle for philosophers. It shapes how we think about punishment and moral responsibility. If you are substantially different from the person who committed a crime 30 years ago, in what sense should you be punished for that act? It shapes debates about personal continuity through radical change, dementia, personality-altering injuries, religious conversion. It shapes how we think about identity over time for nations, institutions, and art. The Argo, the Ship of Theseus, the Constitution, the Catholic Church. Are these the same things they once were? These are not idle questions. They determine rights, responsibilities, legitimacy, and the very shape of our moral universe. The puzzle of the Ship of Theseus endures because it touches something we cannot do without. A concept of identity that survives change. Whether that concept can withstand philosophical pressure is, as yet, an open question.